It's kind of odd, man. The amount of Red Wings and Oilers-related conversations that have popped up over the past few days. There's quite a lot to dive into. We've spoken about Sebastian Cossa, we have spoken about Trey Augustine, we talked about the goaltending search for the Oilers, since Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard are not to be trusted. But now we're shifting our gears a little bit. Because today, we're talking about a guy that I happen to like a lot as a member of the Detroit Red Wings, a very good goal scorer, and somebody who has chemistry with his line mate from years and teams past. Today we're talking about the cat himself, Debrincat. Alex Debrincat, as a 27-year-old, 5'8", 181-pound right-handed forward, signed on till the end of 2027, making $7.875 million a year. Interesting to note about Alex Debrincat is that he led the Detroit Red Wings in goals last year. 39 goals in 82 games played, 70 points. That was good enough for tied for second on the team in points, but it was first in goals by a long shot. Debrincat, Larkin, and Raymond were the offensive leaders for Detroit the previous season, and we are hoping to see them do similar things this upcoming year. But because Alex Debrincat is all that, because he is a top-tier forward who can score a good chunk of goals, and I also guess because he played on the Erie Otters in 2015, 2014, he was there while a very particular Edmonton Oilers superstar was also there. I wanted to head over onto an article published on thehockeywriters.com on August 13th. This was written and published by Jesse Corville-Lynch, and it talks about how the Oilers could land Debrincat in a suggested deadline blockbuster with the Wings. Now, yeah, you kind of already get where this article is going based off of the title here, but because we need content, we're going to go out there and talk about this idea. Anyway, let's dive into Corville-Lynch's proposal here. The article talks about how the Oilers are going to be trying to make another deep playoff run next season after coming up short in the last 2 years in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Florida Panthers. And they're also hoping their team is deep enough now to finally win their first championship with McDavid and Draisaitl. Now, you can debate whether or not the team is going to be deeper, quote-unquote. They replaced a bunch of older guys with younger guys, and I don't necessarily think that corresponds to the idea of getting deeper, but still, we'll see what Isaac Howard, Matthew Savoy, and Podkolzin are able to bring. With that being said, the Oilers have shown they aren't scared to make big moves if it means improving their team and being able to make a deep postseason run, which was evident when they had acquired Jake Wallman before the 2025 deadline from the Sharks. If the Oilers are truly willing to spend big, they might find a trade partner in the Red Wings, depending on how their 25-26 season turns out. If they are in contention, they won't sell, and they will look to make a strong playoff run after having missed the past several playoff campaigns. But if they're on the outside looking in, they could be willing to take advantage of increased value for some of their top players. This is where the article brings up the cat. A player who stands out as a potential target for the Oilers is superstar forward Debrincat, who has solidified himself as a star in the NHL, and while it took him a while to get going after he departed from the Blackhawks a few seasons ago, he has found his footing again and could be someone contending teams want on their team for a playoff run. Now, of course, I think the way the article is going, you could already tell the direction here. You can say that, oh yeah, if the Red Wings suck, if the Red Wings stink and they're not able to get together a playoff team, then maybe Debrincat can be seen as a valuable option because his contract is kind of short. It goes on till 26-27, and he's a very talented player. This is what the article says. I mean, Debrincat has a 16-team no-trade list, $7.875 million AAV deal. He's also extended through 27, making him even more valuable considering he wouldn't just be a rental. The article then says that the idea is hypothetical, and of course, we know it's hypothetical, we know, let's just go out there and think about it here. The reason why I actually wanted to make a video about this topic is because of the proposal that Corville-Lynch goes out there and tosses into the piece. I do think this is quite interesting here. Debrincat has some connections to the Oilers already in Jeff Jackson, who currently works for the Oilers but used to be Debrincat's agent, as well as McDavid, who used to be Debrincat's teammate when they played together for the Erie Otters in the OHL. By the way, that team was so good. I mean, Strome, Debrincat, and McDavid were all fantastic together. I mean, just look at the point production here. Strome had 129 points in 68 games, McDavid had 120 points in 47 games, and Debrincat, who was a first-year OHL player, had 104 points in 68 games. This guy was a monster for the Erie Otters in his opening campaign with that team. Realistically, the article says, a trade looks like the Oilers acquiring Alex Debrincat in exchange for Mattias Ekholm, Bo Akey, their 2027 first, and their 2028 second. The Red Wings get a top prospect, 2 great draft picks, and a veteran D-man who stabilizes their blue line and can keep the younger guys in line. The Oilers bring in a superstar for their top 6 forward group, and with deep defensive depth, they can afford to move on from Ekholm. Really? Really? Okay, let's just let that idea sink into the back of our brains for a second. The Oilers would create arguably the best forward lineup in recent NHL history, and likely become the favorite heading into the postseason. The Wings would also likely start to move out assets and bring in future pieces in hopes of retooling their lineup, and this move allows them to start doing that. So, I don't think that's actually accurate. I don't think the Red Wings are in a direction where they want to retool on the fly here. They kind of want to start getting competitive now. I think that the entire retooling section of the team should have happened already. Based off of the guys that they added, based off of the signings that Stevie Y made. You could talk about how some of the signings, like Travis Hamonic, for example, definitely go against that thought process. But the idea of acquiring Mattias Ekholm is actually really interesting in my opinion. If the article's going out there and saying that, yeah, the Oilers have a really strong D-core, they've got very good defensive depth, they don't need Ekholm anymore, then okay, I actually do kind of vibe with the idea of the Red Wings getting him. I don't know if it's for Debrincat necessarily, but Ekholm is a very stable defender. The only problem is he's 35 years old. His contract expires at the end of the upcoming season, making $6.25 million a year, so that's fine. I don't think that's unreasonable for a player of his caliber, but just the age there, sure, Ekholm would help out this upcoming season, but there's really no guarantee he'd be able to do that anytime beyond that. I mean, it's really difficult, and this would be a very short-sighted move for Stevie Y and the Red Wings. Alex Debrincat's only 27 years old. He's got a lot more hockey ahead of him. And I get it. The article proposes some very interesting assets also going over to Detroit. Ekholm with Akey, a first and a second. That's a lot of value there. Bo Akey's pretty good, I'd say. Right-handed defenseman, 20-year-old guy who posted up 32 points in 52 games played in the Barrie Colts system. Not bad. Not bad. But definitely, I think the Wings would need a little bit more longer-term, projectable, helpful assets than just Mattias Ekholm if they were to go down some sort of a Debrincat trade. If they were bad enough that a Debrincat trade is even seen as an option here. If there is any world where the Wings consider moving Debrincat, the Oilers should be all over him, and they should do whatever it takes to get a deal done. As the 25-26 season approaches, be sure to keep following the hockey... Okay, yeah, we'll skip past that. Sorry, hockey writers, I don't want to give y'all too much free prep and free promo in this video here. But the idea of Debrincat in Edmonton is really interesting. I do think that he would play so well with Connor McDavid one more time. You just got to make a trade with the Capitals to get Dylan Strome back, and then get that Erie Otters connection going over in Edmonton one more time. That Erie Otters connection was already going a little bit earlier. I mean, we saw Connor Brown and Connor McDavid together, so there you go. Just grab all the former Erie Otters there. Chris Knobloch, of course, was the head coach for Erie back in that time frame, I'm pretty sure. Was he the coach? Yes, he was. There you go. So, of course, Debrincat already has some familiarity there. But Mattias Ekholm coming back as the only NHL-ready piece, I don't know, I like Ekholm a lot, but he's so old. That's the only difficult part I'd say about this entire transaction. And also, trading away Debrincat, it's going to be very, very difficult to get any Red Wings fan to be on board with that. But either way, The article was published. It'll be linked in the description below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. How do you feel about the idea of Debrincat over to the Oilers in a trade for Mattias Ekholm? I hope you enjoyed this Frischarschos 99. And bye.